Hello out there. My name is Noah Martinez, a 52-year-old resident of Tonopah, Nevada. I'm a retired communications specialist, once employed by local search and rescue teams, and I've spent a good chunk of my life tinkering with ham radios. Now, I find myself as an unofficial radio anchor for what I'm calling the Nevada Emergency Civilian Network, broadcasting on AM 1470. I began these transmissions when the world as we knew it started to shift into a strange and alarming state. It started with odd meteor sightings across the southwest, followed by unusual power outages and hush-hush movements of unmarked vehicles near restricted areas. Day by day, the puzzle expanded, culminating in what appears to be a large-scale intrusion by unknown forces that many are calling, for lack of a more grounded term, extraterrestrial. Everything I'm about to share is from my own perspective, combined with the information I've gathered through phone calls, shortwave transmissions, personal encounters, and the experiences of fellow civilians scattered across Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and beyond. Whether you're listening to this live or finding it as a recording in the future, know that it's my honest account of events as they've unfolded. Day 0. Rumblings of trouble. This was before I officially started broadcasting on 1470 AM, when I was still logging strange occurrences in my personal notebook. Over the past 48 hours, I'd noticed short bursts of static on my ham radio Satanicom IC7300, which I typically use to chat with friends across the state. The static was not the usual skip, or atmospheric, noise. It had an almost rhythmic pattern, like coded pulses. Occasionally, I caught fragmented voices. Approach unknown meltdown, then it would fade out. I chalked it up to possible military exercises or a glitch in my receiver, but I made a mental note. Later that night, as I sat on my porch with a cup of coffee, I observed unusual lights moving across the sky in pairs, too high to be helicopters, too silent to be ordinary jets. Each set of lights performed maneuvers I've never seen in normal air traffic. They paused, reversed direction, then sped off again. Nobody else in Tonopah seemed to notice. Most folks were either asleep or indoors. I dismissed it as test aircraft from the nearby Tonopah test range. Little did I know, this was only the start. Day 1. First official broadcast on 1470 AM. Greetings, anyone out there? This is Noah Martinez transmitting on 1470 AM, reactivating my rig and the old radio frequency that used to be a local station before it went defunct. I'm doing this because for the past day we've been seeing and hearing things that don't add up. The local news in Tonopah is quiet. Some mainstream stations carried an emergency alert system, EAS notice, about meteor activity in northern Arizona, southern Utah, and parts of eastern Nevada. That's peculiar. We don't usually get EAS notices for standard meteor showers. I tried calling my cousin in Pahrump. No answer. My friend in Reno. Busy signal. Internet spotty. Satellite TV channels are either scrambled or stuck on bizarre loops of old weather reports. If you're listening and have information, please reach out. I'll keep scanning for incoming calls. Let's figure out what's happening. Day 2. Encounter on Highway 6. I decided to drive south on Highway 6, heading toward the junction with Highway 375, often called the Extraterrestrial Highway. Around 5 miles out of Tonopah, I saw 2 black SUVs parked by the road, no license plates. Standing next to them were a few men in dark attire, no recognizable badges. One flagged me down, asked me my name and reason for being on the road. He claimed he was part of an environmental hazard response team, though he refused to show ID. He asked if I'd picked up any unusual transmissions. Naturally, I acted clueless, saying my radio gear was down. Something about his eyes made me uneasy. He warned me to return home. Then he walked away, making a subtle motion to a colleague who was setting up a portable dish antenna by the roadside. I continued my drive another mile or so, but I saw nothing but desert and the shimmer of heat. I turned back, keeping my distance from the black SUVs on the return pass. The entire encounter felt off. Why would an environmental hazard group set up near a remote desert highway scanning frequencies? Day 3. Transmission from Nellis. Just moments ago, I received a shortwave call from a man identifying himself as Sergeant Joel Bowers at Nellis Air Force Base. He spoke rapidly. Objects in the sky at night, distributing interference, missing aircraft. Stay away from major population centers. His voice trembled, like he'd seen something unimaginable. Then the line cut. No official station or frequency ID. If I can confirm any of this, I will. For now, I'm taking him at his word. If you're near Las Vegas, be careful. Stay alert. I'll be running the radio from 10 a.m. to noon, then again from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. to save on generator fuel. Tune in if you need updates or want to share what you know. Day 4. Odd lights and whispers. I was off air, but I kept my receiver on. Around 10 p.m., the same patterned static returned. 3 short pulses, 1 long pulse, and then silence. It repeated multiple times. I recorded it on a cassette. Then faintly a voice whispered, "They're here. Can't stop them. Watch the skies." It sounded like someone in distress, possibly transmitting from a compromised position. The voice was cut off by a loud burst of static. I tried triangulating the signal, but with my limited gear in the mountainous terrain, I couldn't pinpoint it. My best guess is somewhere near the edge of the Nevada test and training range. Whether it's legitimate or some bizarre hoax, I can't be sure, but the tension is mounting. Day 5. Mass power failures. I scanned all local AM/FM stations and found only silence or static. Internet is almost fully out in Tonopah. Only a few local pages sometimes load. Town power is holding on by a thread, thanks to local backups. People who rely on the main grid are losing electricity. The local sheriff's office has an old generator from the 1990s and is rationing it for essential services. My concern grows daily. If these visitors or unknown forces can disrupt electronics, we may be in for a rough future. If you're in an area with power, consider yourself fortunate. Stock up on essential supplies: water, non-perishables, batteries, medications. We might not have many more chances to resupply. Day 6. Voices from the void. I received 3 calls back to back. Anonymous caller from Rachel, Nevada, claimed to see a triangular craft hovering near Area 51 late last night. It emitted a beam of light onto the desert floor, then vanished in an instant. The caller said they heard a faint humming noise, unlike any aircraft they'd encountered. Local farmer in Warm Springs reported. Missing animals. Sheep and goats disappeared from locked pens without a trace. No footprints, no broken fences. It happened overnight. They suspect either advanced technology or something beyond our understanding. Truck driver on Highway 95. Mentioned unmarked checkpoints with armed personnel wearing black uniforms. The driver wasn't sure if they were private contractors or special forces. They scanned his truck with a wand-like device before letting him go, warning him not to speak of it. The puzzle grows more ominous. Day 7. Campfire chat with neighbors. Sometimes it helps to meet in person. A few neighbors, Mike, Donna, and Lorraine, came over to my place to share a meal. We built a small fire in my backyard, trying to maintain a sense of normalcy. We traded stories about the unseen watchers in black SUVs. Donna said she spotted them outside her house at 2 a.m., scanning the sky with night vision gear. Lorraine believes there's a hidden operation in the mountains west of Tonopah, near old mining shafts. We tried to lighten the mood, but the anxiety was clear. Nobody knows how long we can keep on like this. We made a pact to share resources, watch out for each other, and let each other know if we see anything unusual. It feels like a return to older times, where neighbors banded together against the unknown. Day 8. Crash in the desert. I picked up a snippet of a request for a recovery team near Yucca Flat. The coordinates matched a region known for past underground nuclear tests. Then an old friend and former security officer, Dana Perkins, reached out on the shortwave. She claimed to have seen twisted metal debris in the desert, something lacking any visible wings or normal fuselage. Men in white protective suits arrived swiftly, carrying advanced scanning devices. They cordoned off the area and demanded she leave. Dana has seen experimental aircraft wreckage before, but this was different. She described a smooth metallic surface, curved like a disc, approximately 10 or 12 feet across. It had no seams or rivets. She also heard a faint buzzing like high-voltage electricity. Dana retreated before they could confront her further. She's certain the object wasn't built by any standard aviation manufacturer. Day 9. Town Hall Meeting. This morning, about 30 concerned citizens of Tonopah gathered at the old community center on Main Street. The sheriff attended briefly, urging everyone to remain calm and trust that the federal government is handling the situation. But when pressed, he admitted he had no direct line to higher authorities. Lines to Carson City and Washington, D.C. seem effectively dead. Residents voiced fears of an alien invasion, a phrase most people had been too nervous to say out loud. The mood in the room ranged from skeptical to terrified. Some insisted on leaving town, others felt it was safer to remain. We agreed to keep watch at night, rotate guard duty, and share any transmissions we pick up. With the local power grid failing, we rely on candles, flashlights, and a few personal generators. Day 10. Intercepting strange signals. Tonight, my shortwave rig locked onto a 5 MHz channel, a common range for government or military communication. The data bursts sounded like encrypted signals, rapid, digital-sounding chirps. Then, a distorted voice popped in. Hostile approach. Unknown biological disrupt transmissions, immediate containment. After 10 seconds, silence. Then a repeating series of beeps. I recorded these beeps with my vintage reel-to-reel. On playback, they showed a pattern. Beep, beep, pause, beep, pause, beep, 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 pause. Over and over. I'm not a cryptographer, but it's obviously some form of code or beacon. If anyone can decode it, let's coordinate. The mention of unknown biological chills me. Are these craft piloted by living beings that defy our understanding? The mind reels with possibilities. Day 11. Rumors from Las Vegas. Despite the clampdown, a friend of a friend who made it out of Las Vegas shared a harrowing account. They claim the city is experiencing rolling blackouts, entire sections going dark without warning. Strip hotels are either boarded up or operating on emergency power. Law enforcement is overwhelmed, focusing on controlling traffic and preventing looting. Military vehicles patrol the outskirts, preventing entry into certain zones. This friend also said that in the dead of night, bright orbs hover above some of the bigger resorts along Las Vegas Boulevard, as if scanning them. No one is sure what they want or why those particular locations. It's unknown how many folks remain in the city. Day 12. Confronting the truth. Evidence continues to mount. Orbs seen dancing over Rachel, Beatty, and even near Reno. Disc-shaped craft recovered in the desert. Mysterious signals referencing unknown biological entities. I've hesitated to use the word extraterrestrial, but it's beginning to look like that's the most reasonable explanation. The notion that these craft come from underground or advanced test labs seems less likely than the possibility they hail from beyond our planet or dimension. Yes, it sounds unbelievable, but the constant presence of these silent craft, the odd scanning devices, the hush-hush operations, if this is some man-made black project, it's the largest and best coordinated in history. And it doesn't explain the global power disruptions. I'm forced to conclude something bigger is afoot. Day 13. Lost truckers and stranded families. I opened up my frequency to incoming calls. Several stranded travelers along Highway 95 and Interstate 15 reported seeing military checkpoints but no official signage. Some encountered vacant rest stops, vehicles abandoned mid-trip. One trucker found entire families walking along the highway, their cars having run out of fuel. Truckers say they've never witnessed such a breakdown in infrastructure. Distribution hubs are closed, deliveries halted, grocery store shelves in many towns are empty. If you're on the road, bring extra fuel, water, food, and a way to protect yourself from the elements. Nighttime travel is not advised. Day 14. The lightning fields. Last night, multiple people across Tonopah Goldfield and Beatty reported seeing flashes of light in the distance, accompanied by low, thunder-like rumbles. The sky was mostly clear, so it wasn't typical lightning. Some witnesses swear it originated from the ground, shooting upward. Could it be energy weapons? Some advanced form of defense or offense, directed at the unknown craft? I checked on my neighbor's farm this morning. His power lines were vibrating slightly and emitting small sparks, even though the electricity was supposedly cut off. The lines felt electrified by some external force. Could it be correlated with the strange craft overhead? The strangest part, my dog Rusty refuses to leave the house after dark. Animals sense things we miss. If he's on edge, so am I. Day 15. Echoes from the underground. I ventured out at dawn to check a series of abandoned mine shafts west of Tonopah, where folks reported hearing faint mechanical sounds at night. There's a rumor about a secret underground network, possibly part of old silver mines that have been repurposed for covert activities. I didn't see or hear anything definite, but I did find large tire tracks leading into a gated off-road area with no trespassing signs that looked recently placed. There were fresh footprints around the gate, but no workers or guards. The desert wind howled through the sagebrush, giving me a sense of being watched. I left in a hurry, mindful that certain areas are under intense scrutiny by unknown groups. Day 16. Decoding attempts. I spent the day analyzing the tape of the repeating beeps from day 10. Using an old laptop with offline frequency analysis software, I tried everything. Fourier transforms, pattern matching, you name it. I found a repeated cycle, short bursts, long bursts, spaced in intervals that align with the structure of human speech patterns, roughly 2-3 seconds each. It's possible there's a hidden layer in the signal, like a data chunk compressed or scrambled. Without advanced decryption, I can't parse it further. If any radio experts, cryptographers, or code breakers can help, let's collaborate. This could be a crucial key to understanding these visitors, if it even is from them. Day 17. Refugees from Arizona. A pair of travelers, Mario and Candace, arrived in Tonopah from northern Arizona. They said the meteor showers in Arizona were anything but normal. Flaming objects rained from the sky near the Grand Canyon, creating sonic booms that shattered windows. People panicked. Towns lost power, and rumors spread about pod-like devices discovered in deep desert craters. Mario described seeing a convoy of black trucks, each carrying large, smooth cylinders. Some trucks were escorted by helicopters with no identifiable markings. Locals who tried to film were apparently told to leave. Candace overheard a hush-hush conversation about coordinated infiltration. They're heading further north to find family. They only stopped to refuel in Tonopah, but we have very little fuel to share. Day 18. Callers from Salt Lake City. I caught an AM broadcast from Carl Becker in Salt Lake City, Utah on a faint frequency around 1530 kHz. He's a freelance journalist using a portable transmitter. Carl says 2 nights ago the sky above Salt Lake lit up green. Afterward, city power blinked out, and flights from the local Air National Guard base took off, never returned. Carl reported hearing rumors of large objects drifting over the Great Salt Lake, making almost no sound. He tried to film, but his electronics malfunctioned. He ended his broadcast abruptly, cutting off mid-sentence with no sign-off. I tried to reach him, but only static responded. If Carl is still out there, I hope he finds a way to stay safe. Day 19. Long-range scans. NAM, fellow amateur radio enthusiasts from across the state, offered to coordinate a scanning network. We set up a schedule to monitor specific frequencies at set times, like a volunteer watch program for the airwaves. Results so far. Northern Nevada reports minimal sightings, though power issues persist. Southern Nevada has heavy sightings, major disruptions, and more orb activity at night. Eastern Nevada and western Utah remain partially connected, but under a sense of looming threat. No direct hits on the weird coded signals yet. But the watchers remain vigilant. If these visitors are orchestrating a widespread effort to knock out communications, they're succeeding on many fronts. Day 20. California blackout. For the past 48 hours, I've tried to reach any station in California, from Death Valley to the outskirts of Los Angeles. Nothing. Only a faint, looped message from one Los Angeles news station urging calm, then static. It's as if the entire state has gone silent or is heavily jammed. If you're in California and can hear me, please know we share your concerns. You're not alone. Prepare for disruptions. Store water. Find backup power solutions. Keep your radio gear shielded if possible. If the rumors are correct, these unknown craft have advanced methods of crippling our infrastructure. Day 21. Nighttime visitation. My dog Rusty started barking at midnight, something he rarely does. I stepped outside and noticed an intense glow on the horizon, an almost bluish luminescence. It flickered behind the mountains, casting strange shadows. For a moment I thought it was a wildfire, but it made no crackling sound or smoke plumes. I grabbed my binoculars. Through the haze, I saw a shimmering shape hovering. It was far, maybe 15, 20 miles away, near the old mining areas. It pulsed with light. Then it ascended rapidly, disappearing into the night sky. A quiet, otherworldly moment that left me trembling. I returned to my station, tried to capture my thoughts in a quick monologue. The microphone picked up my shaky voice. This is the reality we now live in, where seeing an unidentified glowing structure at 1 a.m. is becoming normal. Day 22. Deep History Discoveries. With little else to do, I visited the dusty old Tonopah Library. In the local history section, I found references to rumors dating back to the 1940s and 1950s about extraterrestrial materials allegedly studied near Groom Lake and Papoose Lake. There were mentions of isotopes that disrupt electronics, rumored to be from recovered craft. Most historians dismissed these accounts as folklore. But after reading further, I realized these rumors align with the unprecedented EM disruptions we're facing. Could these rumored isotopes have been glimpses of the same technology these visitors now wield? If so, the current crisis might have roots that stretch back decades or more. The hush-hush approach of the authorities makes more sense in that context. Perhaps they've known something was out there all along. Day 23. Supply shortages and community support. Tonopah is running low on fuel, food, and medical supplies. The local grocery store shelves are nearly empty, and the next delivery is uncertain. A few folks are talking about forming a supply run to Hawthorne or Fallon, hoping those towns still have stock. Meanwhile, residents are forming small co-ops. Families band together, sharing what they have, cooking communal meals. In a strange way, the crisis is bringing out a spirit of collaboration. We're all in this together. But frustration grows. How much longer can we maintain daily life under these conditions? Each day, more people decide to leave for presumably safer areas or to search for relatives. I can't blame them. Day 24. Direct message from Nellis AFB. A powerful directed signal cut through the static on my transceiver. A female voice identified herself as Lieutenant Connie Reynolds, broadcasting from Nellis Air Force Base. She spoke clearly, warning that there would be containment operations for the unidentified aerial phenomena. Civilians should shelter in place or proceed to designated evacuation sites, though she gave no specifics on those sites. Then silence. Repeated calls to her frequency went unanswered. The first official statement in days, yet it provided more questions than answers. Where are these evacuation points? What does containment operation entail? Nevertheless, it confirms the military acknowledges the presence of these craft. Something big is underway. In Day 25. Another civilian voice. Ely, Nevada. I managed to tune into Harold Drake in Ely, Nevada, broadcasting weekly on AM 990. He's turned the local high school gym into a makeshift shelter for travelers and residents seeking refuge. They're short on supplies but have partial power from an old generator. Harold relayed stories of travelers from Hoover Dam claiming to see large silent craft near the facility, leading to total power failure. Unmarked trucks block the roads in that area. Harold's broadcast suggests a growing movement of people fleeing central and southern Nevada. He warns that major highways are jammed. If you plan to move, do so only with caution and a solid plan. The desert can be unforgiving if you run out of fuel or water. Day 26. Unsettling patrols. I took a short drive around Tonopah's outskirts early this morning. I spotted a small convoy of 4 dark vehicles rolling slowly past the gas station, each with tinted windows. They paused as if scanning the area. No official insignias, but they had some sort of sensor mounted on the roof, like a rotating dish. When I pulled over to watch, they drove off in a hurry. Locals say these vehicles appear every few days, checking roads and presumably monitoring the skies. Nobody knows who they are. They don't match normal law enforcement, National Guard, or even private security companies. Are they part of a special task force dealing with the invasion? Or are they something else altogether? Day 27. Reflections on the new normal. It's been almost a month since this crisis began. For many of us, it feels like a new reality. Days spent rationing fuel and food, nights spent peering out windows, scanning for lights in the sky. The old routines, going to the diner, chatting at the post office, are replaced by fear and constant awareness. And yet, people adapt. Our small community organizes meal rotations, sets up rain barrels for water, and keeps emergency candles on hand at all times. If someone had told me a year ago that I'd be turning my garage into a survival radio hub, I'd have laughed. Now it's our lifeline. Day 28. The Giant Silhouette. Today brought yet another astonishing account. Patrick Wilcox, the rancher near the Tonopah test range, called in again. He witnessed a massive silhouette in the early morning sky, bigger than any conventional aircraft, like a floating fortress. It hovered for about 2 minutes, rotating slowly, then took off with a faint whoosh. Patrick says it stirred up dust in huge spirals, terrifying his livestock. He describes the shape as rectangular with softly rounded edges, no visible wings or propellers. He's abandoning his ranch, heading northward. Says he's too unsettled to stay. I can't blame him. If an object that large is hovering overhead, I'd be concerned too. Day 29. Community Council Decisions. We held a brief council meeting in the parking lot behind the library, socially distanced around a few vehicles. The group debated whether to organize a mass evacuation or to remain. Some argue that traveling could be more dangerous if these craft truly track large groups of people. Others fear Tonopah is becoming a dead zone with dwindling supplies. Shots. We ultimately decided to let each family choose. Those who want to try heading toward Ely or even crossing state lines are free to do so. Those who stay will maintain the watch and keep the radio transmissions going. It's a tough call. Everyone is on edge. Day 30. A warning. A short, frantic broadcast broke through the static. They're unstoppable. Air Force, pinned down, meltdown across multiple states. Then static. I tried responding, but nothing came back. Who was calling? Could be a lone soldier or a desperate civilian tapping into a half-functional transmitter. Their mention of multiple states facing meltdown suggests the crisis is nationwide, not isolated to the southwest. At this point, we must assume the entire country or even multiple countries is grappling with these unknown visitors. Without stable news networks, we can only speculate. Day 31. Personal memories. Keeping hope. I spent the early morning reflecting on how I got here. Growing up, I always loved scanning the radio waves, building antennas, talking to distant voices. I never imagined it would become a critical lifeline in a crisis. This setup in my garage, stacks of old receivers, a generator, solar panels salvaged from an RV, feels like a relic of a more optimistic time. In the midst of fear and uncertainty, I remind myself that humans have faced enormous challenges before and found ways to persevere. There's no reason to believe we can't do so again, even if our challenge this time feels utterly foreign. Day 32. More lights, more silence. The nighttime sky lit up again with dancing lights, green, red, and white, performing maneuvers that defy normal physics. The entire neighborhood watched in hushed awe. Some people prayed, others quietly wept. A few tried photographing, but their cameras malfunctioned or captured only blurry streaks. The lights eventually blinked out, leaving an eerie silence. It's as if these visitors are studying us, making their presence known, but not initiating direct contact, at least not in a public manner. The tension is palpable. Day 33. Increasing reports of strange behavior. Neighbors have reported unusual behavior in wildlife around Tonopah. Birds flying in erratic patterns, desert rodents appearing disoriented. Even local dogs and cats seem anxious or restless. A local veterinarian, Dr. Avery, speculates that the electromagnetic fields might be affecting animal navigation and instincts. If these craft emit strong fields that disrupt electronics, it's plausible they affect living creatures too. This is a new layer to the crisis. An ecological impact that could ripple across the food chain if it persists. Day 34. Dust storm or something else? A powerful gust swept through Tonopah this afternoon, kicking up a massive wall of dust. Yet, the weather forecast suggested no storms. The dust storm lasted about 20 minutes, then vanished. Some residents claim they saw flickers of bright light inside the dust cloud, almost like static discharges. Could these be artificially generated weather anomalies by advanced technology? Or just an odd desert occurrence? Either way, it knocked out a few power lines that were still operational. The local environment feels more and more volatile. Day 35. Revisiting the coded message. I returned to the beep sequence from day 10 to see if any fresh perspective might crack it. I experimented with playing it backward, in case it hid reversed audio. No luck, just a garbled hiss. Then I tried layering the beep sequence with the short bursts of static from day 4. Oddly, some intervals lined up. It might be coincidence, but it suggests a larger puzzle. I'll keep trying. If these signals come from the visitors, decoding them might reveal their intentions, or at least provide a clue. Day 36. Search for remaining outposts. I pulled the few shortwave operators still in contact. We compiled a rough list of operational outposts in the region. Ely, Nevada, Harold Drake, AM 990. Fallon, Nevada, underground rumor of a functional station near the Naval Air Station. Eek, St. George, Utah, sporadic shortwave calls from Grace White, a retired officer. Salt Lake City, Utah, Carl Becker. Last heard day 18, unknown status. Flagstaff, Arizona. Unconfirmed, rumored small group with a low-power FM transmitter. It's encouraging to see pockets of broadcast activity. We may be scattered, but we're not silent. Day 37. Another night of phenomena. I received a distress call from a rancher in the outskirts. He claimed a silent, hovering orb approached his property, shining a beam of light that froze his animals in place. They seemed paralyzed for a minute or two. When the orb moved on, the animal snapped out of it, dazed but alive. The rancher was terrified, describing it as a near sci-fi experience. If these craft can immobilize living creatures, it raises serious concerns about their abilities. Day 38. A brave researcher. I heard from Dr. Emily Kwan, a biologist from Reno who's holed up in a research station near the Nevada National Security Site. She says she's studying soil and water samples that seem to exhibit electromagnetic anomalies. Certain minerals in the soil have become magnetized, and the local water reservoir is showing trace amounts of an unidentified element. She believes it might be related to the visitor's technology. Dr. Kwan is trying to remain objective, but she's clearly worried. If the environment is being altered at a chemical level, the long-term effects could be drastic. She advised anyone near known landing or hovering sites to be cautious about groundwater usage. It's not confirmed unsafe, but better safe than sorry. Day 39. Military engagement. Just caught a snippet of a radio intercept that sounded like a heated conversation between two military operators. Eagle 7, engaging target at high altitude. Immediate scramble. Do not let it breach perimeter. Then static. Could it be a dogfight with these unknown craft? If so, the military might be attempting to protect key installations or airspace. Yet, we have no official statements about successful engagements or outcomes. The biggest question? If there's a conflict, who's winning? Day 40. Ongoing crisis. No end in sight. Despite the partial meltdown of infrastructure we continue to endure, Tonopah has roughly half its original population. Many have fled or gone in search of resources. Those who remain check on each other daily. The small clinic is out of many supplies, but volunteer nurses do what they can. I keep broadcasting. Sometimes I wonder if anyone is listening, but then a crackle comes through the speaker and a voice says, "Thank you for staying on the air." That's all the encouragement I need. Day 41. A family's farewell. Time, 9 a.m. Mike and Donna, two of my closest neighbors, decided to pack up and head toward Oregon with their kids, hoping the crisis is less severe up north. We shared an emotional goodbye. Donna handed me a small box of instant coffee packets, and Mike insisted I keep the battery bank he'd been using for his camper. They left at dawn in their SUV, tearful but determined. I worry for them, traveling the highways that are rumored to be patrolled by unknown forces and jammed with people fleeing. But I respect their choice. Not everyone can handle the uncertainty of waiting here for an outcome we can't predict. Day 42. Insomnia and vigil. I couldn't sleep. The quiet outside is deafening, broken only by Rusty's soft whines. I stepped out onto the porch with a flashlight. The desert sky was velvet black, dotted with stars, and then I saw it again. A slow-moving orb drifting along the horizon. It pulsed faintly. I felt like it was watching me as much as I was watching it. This constant feeling of observation, of scrutiny by an advanced intelligence, is unsettling. Yet they haven't openly attacked us, apart from messing with our grid and electronics. Is there a bigger plan at play? Or are they simply studying us? Questions swirl endlessly. Day 43. Deploying solar panels. With most of my generator fuel gone, I rigged up a more robust solar panel array, salvaged from abandoned RVs around town. It's enough to power my radio gear for a few hours a day, plus a small LED light. This is what my life has become: patchwork solutions, scavenging for materials, improvising to stay connected. If you're in a similar predicament, consider solar or wind solutions. In the desert, solar can be reliable enough to keep vital equipment running. Just keep your panels out of sight if you worry about them being confiscated by roaming groups or unmarked officials. Day 44. Panorama of silence. I took a short drive to a ridge overlooking Tonopah. From there I could see the town's scattered lights, a far cry from the cheerful glow of normal times. The highways were nearly empty, dotted with the occasional abandoned car. No sign of the mysterious black SUVs today, but that doesn't mean they're gone. The sky was unusually clear. In the distance toward the test range, I saw faint bursts of light, similar to heat lightning but in rapid succession, possibly a clash between military forces and the unknown craft. The thought of that conflict gave me chills. We have little control over the situation, yet we're so deeply affected by it. Day 45. Decoding breakthrough. Spent the morning with a fellow ham radio enthusiast named Walt, who's passing through Tonopah. He's an electronics whiz with homemade decoding software on an old laptop. We fed the beep sequence from day 10 into his program. While we couldn't fully decode it, we found partial translations suggesting coordinates and references to bioenergetic forms. Could the visitors be referencing humans as these bioenergetic forms? Or is it something else entirely? Walt is as baffled as I am, but it's a clue, a coded message that might confirm the visitors are analyzing life on Earth in a very technical way. We're planning to keep in touch if he continues his travels. Day 46. Refugees in town. 6 travelers arrived from the direction of Las Vegas looking exhausted. They recounted how the city's main neighborhoods are mostly abandoned. They passed through smaller towns where shops were shuttered and folks refused to open doors out of fear. They also claimed to have seen large scorch marks on the roads near North Las Vegas, as if high-intensity heat was used. They're staying briefly in Tonopah to rest. We offered them food and a place to sleep. They seem grateful yet haunted by what they witnessed. Their stories reinforce the notion that major urban centers have become prime areas of unknown activity. Day 47. A creeping stillness. I can't shake the impression that the desert itself is quieter than ever. Fewer cars, fewer planes, even fewer animals making noise. It's as if everything is holding its breath. At night, when I broadcast, I sometimes catch myself talking more softly as though worried something out there might hear me. Yet, I press on. The purpose of this broadcast is to bring some semblance of unity and knowledge to those who can hear me. That purpose grows more vital each day, even as the stillness presses in. Day 48. Tragic news from the east. An operator in Wendover on the Nevada-Utah border reported a large incident along I-80. Multiple vehicles apparently collided after an unexpected overhead phenomenon caused drivers to panic. No official rescue services responded. The operator helped treat minor injuries, but resources were scarce. This is the kind of secondary consequence we're facing, accidents born from fear and confusion, with no immediate help available. Our infrastructure for emergencies is fractured, overshadowed by the larger crisis. Day 49. Air Force radio chatter. Once again, I picked up fleeting military chatter on a sideband frequency. Someone said, "Target remains at high altitude. No conventional response working. Requesting advance measures." Then it cut. Advance measures? This might confirm rumors the military is resorting to unconventional weaponry. If conventional methods fail, it implies the visitors have defenses or materials beyond our current tech's ability to overcome. That's not an encouraging sign. Day 50. Cross-border anomalies. Heard from a shortwave contact near Lake Tahoe that people there witnessed shimmering crafts at dusk, hovering over the lake's surface. The crafts caused the water to ripple in concentric patterns, almost like a resonant frequency. Fish and birds in the area reacted strangely. Some fish surfaced, disoriented. Could these visitors be studying Earth's water resources and local ecosystems? The repeated focus on scanning or beaming suggests a methodical survey, like researchers analyzing a new environment. Day 51. Deeper into the unknown. Satellite TV signals in the region have fully failed. No mainstream television broadcasts at all. Some older analog signals occasionally pop up, but they're mostly test patterns or loops of pre-recorded content. It's as if the entire communications infrastructure for mass media has collapsed. I realized how reliant we were on large-scale networks for information. Now we're forced back to localized knowledge, word of mouth, small-scale radio. If you're out there, your own observations are invaluable. We're building a patchwork of truths in the absence of official statements. Day 52. Rain at last. A rare desert rain fell this afternoon. I set up tarps and containers to collect water. Oddly, the rainfall carried a faint metallic scent. Not overwhelming, but noticeable. Could be related to atmospheric changes induced by the visitors' technology. People worry about possible contamination. We have no labs to test the water. For now, we're filtering it through basic camping filters and boiling it. The taste is slightly off, but in a crisis, every drop counts. Day 53. Cryptic comms revival. That beep sequence from earlier transmissions returned, louder this time. It repeated for a solid hour, then went silent. It's as if the broadcast is intensifying. I tried contacting Walt to see if he's around for another attempt at decoding, but no luck. Did the visitors upgrade their beacon? Or is this the same message on a stronger wavelength? I wonder if they're signaling each other or trying to contact someone off-world. The possibilities boggle the mind. Day 54. More craft sightings. Reports from travelers mention seeing entire squadrons of luminous spheres drifting across the open desert at night. They remain silent, usually maintaining a fixed altitude before vanishing. Some who observe them too long experience dizziness or blurred vision. Could be psychosomatic. Or maybe the craft emit a field that affects the human nervous system. I caution all listeners. If you see one of these formations, observe from a safe distance. Don't shine lights or attempt to signal them. We still know very little about their capabilities. Day 55. Reflection on humanity. It struck me how fragile our society can be. In less than 2 months, entire regions have fallen dark. We rely on technology for communication, food distribution, and medical care. The visitors disabled our most vital systems with minimal effort, it seems. Yet, we persevere. In Tonopah, people still greet each other, share meager supplies, trade small acts of kindness. Maybe that's our greatest strength. We don't give up on one another. Day 56. Flickering hope. A small group of families from Tonopah decided to stay indefinitely, forming a cooperative. They have begun planting small gardens using desert-friendly techniques, hoping to establish some self-sufficiency. We hammered together raised beds and brought in soil from near the riverbed. The yield might be modest: squash, onions, maybe some herbs, but it's a start. While the looming presence of unknown craft remains, life marches on. The human spirit endures, even if overshadowed by cosmic mysteries. Day 57. Possible government leaflets. A rumor spread through town that a drone dropped leaflets in a nearby community. The leaflets allegedly contained instructions to remain calm and that help is on the way. No official insignias, but they use language like federal assistance. I've yet to see them firsthand, so it's unconfirmed. If true, it implies at least some branch of government is attempting outreach, but the generic message doesn't address the actual threat. Is it just a morale tactic? Are they truly preparing a solution? Day 58. Inhuman sounds? A caller from the outskirts reported hearing shrill, discordant noises echoing across the desert at dusk, almost like high-pitched whistles or insect chirps, but louder and more resonant. They insisted it wasn't any local wildlife they recognized. Could these be the actual sounds of the visitors? Or byproducts of their craft? This is the first time I've heard reports of anything resembling a direct audible presence from them. Day 59. Hopes for disclosure. Harold Drake. In Ely briefly came back on the air. He mentioned rumors circulating among local survivors that a major disclosure from the military is imminent. That soon there might be a radio or TV broadcast nationwide acknowledging the visitors and explaining a plan. No timeline given, though. For all we know, this could be hearsay. Still, the idea of official transparency is appealing. We're starved for clarity. Are we dealing with a peaceful scientific expedition that simply disrupts our technology? Or is this a prelude to something more dire? Day 60. The collective weight. 2 months into this situation, I feel the weight of it pressing down. So many questions remain unanswered. The deserted roads, the flickering lights in the sky, the coded transmissions, the glimpses of advanced technology. Tonopah has become a microcosm of a global phenomenon. Those of us who remain carry on as best we can. I'll continue broadcasting, logging every detail I can until my equipment fails or until the truth finally emerges. Perhaps these recordings will help future generations understand what we faced. Day 61. Assistance from nearby towns. An envoy from Hawthorne arrived, bringing a small truck loaded with canned goods and medical supplies for trade. They'd heard about Tonopah's shortages. In exchange, we gave them spare auto parts, solar panels, and some dried produce from local gardens. The driver said Hawthorne is holding steady, but under the same strange silence from higher authorities. Still, an act of mutual aid between towns suggests civilization hasn't collapsed entirely. Day 62. Overt signs of a struggle. During a midday patrol, a few locals found the wreckage of a helicopter in the desert. It bore no visible markings, but the shape suggested a military or paramilitary design. The interior was badly scorched, minimal electronics left. No sign of the pilot or passengers. Perhaps they were retrieved. This scene underscores that a hidden conflict rages behind the scenes. The visitors remain intangible, yet the fallout is very real. Day 63. A calm night. Too calm. For the first time in weeks, no strange lights flickered in the sky. No odd transmissions crackled on the radio. It was a night of eerie calm. Some neighbors dared to hope the phenomenon was subsiding. Others felt it was the calm before a storm, that the visitors were regrouping. I tried scanning every band, shortwave, AM, FM, and picked up only static or faint chatter from distant stations. I couldn't decide whether to feel relief or dread. Day 64. Faint messages from the east. Caught a very faint broadcast from what sounded like the Midwest, maybe Kansas or Nebraska. The signal was garbled, but I heard references to unusual storms and ground tremors. Could the visitors have extended their reach there? Or is it a separate phenomenon? This could confirm the crisis extends well beyond the Southwest. If so, the entire nation, and maybe further, must be grappling with these events. The isolation we feel here in Nevada might be mirrored across the country. Day 65. Continued research efforts. Dr. Emily Kwan radioed again. She's collecting more samples from near the test range. She mentioned slight increases in background radiation and new microbe growth in soils exposed to orb landings. She's unsure if it's harmful, but notes the pattern. The visitors arrive. The environment changes. She's storing her samples in shielded containers, hoping to analyze them once she finds proper lab equipment. Her dedication is admirable. While many are fleeing or hunkering down, she's risking it in the field, documenting everything. If we emerge from this crisis, her data might prove vital to understanding what happened to our planet. Day 66. Rusty's restlessness. My dog Rusty has been pacing non-stop, whining at odd intervals. He refuses to eat as much as before. I took him for a walk around the block. He kept stopping to sniff the air, ears perked. He growled at thin air once or twice. Could he be sensing electromagnetic fields or hearing frequencies beyond my range? Animals remain our best early warning system. If your pets are behaving strangely, pay attention. They might notice changes before we do. Day 67. Big flash over the horizon. While broadcasting, I glanced outside and saw a bright flash toward the test range. Brighter than any we've observed. It lit up the sky like midday for a split second. Could this have been some significant event? A detonation or a massive release of energy? The afterimage lingered in my vision. If it was a confrontation between military and the visitors, it might mark a turning point. Yet, no follow-up transmissions reached me. Silence once more. That single flash, and then darkness. Day 68. The final code? That beep sequence reappeared around dawn, but this time it was interspersed with bursts of static that almost sounded like a voice. I tried capturing it carefully. When slowed down, the static bursts hinted at words like evacuate, progress, and ending. It's not conclusive, but if the visitors are broadcasting an ultimatum or a concluding statement, we must be prepared for any outcome. I'm not trying to alarm people unnecessarily, but the sense of finality is in the air. Day 69. A shift in the atmosphere. All day there's been a tangible shift. Lighter air pressure, an odd tingle on the skin when outdoors. The sky remains clear, but the sunlight feels harsher. People report headaches, fatigue. Could the visitors be altering atmospheric conditions, or is it a side effect of that major flash we saw? Tonopah's residents are on edge, bracing for something, but we don't know what. A few more families packed up and left. Our once lively town is down to a fraction of its population. Day 70, the last push. This may be one of my final transmissions. My solar panels are faltering, and the battery cells are nearly depleted. After weeks of witnessing unexplained lights, coded signals, militarized convoys, and cryptic transmissions, we are no closer to a public resolution. But I hold on to a sliver of hope that humanity's resourcefulness will prevail. For those still listening, keep observing, document everything. We may not have a global news network, but every local record matters. Stay safe. Avoid large gatherings if the visitors truly track big groups. Share knowledge. Use any means. Bulletin boards, flyers, shortwave frequencies. To stay connected. Believe in tomorrow. Even if it looks grim, our history shows we're resilient. I'm Noah Martinez, a simple radio man from Tonopah, Nevada. I never wanted to be the voice of a crisis, but life had other plans. If anyone finds these broadcasts or transcripts in the future, please remember us. We were here, ordinary people caught in extraordinary times. We banded together, helped one another, and recorded what we could. We don't know the visitors' grand design. They might be explorers, conquerors, or something in between. All we can do is continue living, hoping that understanding or resolution will come, whether through diplomacy, scientific breakthroughs, or a quieter departure of these mysterious beings. As I sign off, the sky outside glows with a faint, pulsating light. Rusty whimpers at my feet. The radio crackles with a final burst of static, then quiet. Maybe tomorrow will bring clarity, or maybe more questions. Until then, I remain here, microphone in hand, sharing truth as best I can. To all survivors, stay vigilant, stay hopeful, and may we endure together.